that you are having a great week. I have this up on the screen. Be grateful for every second of every day that you get to spend with people you love. Life is so very precious. So I had a bit of bad news this week on Valentine's Day, a little bit of tough stuff, so that's why I sort of stepped away from social media this past couple days, because I've been hearing some things that my dad is saying that he has nothing to live for, which is really hard for me to handle right now. So as you can tell, it makes me very emotional. So, be very grateful for every second that you have with everybody in your life, because it's really important to cherish your family. Time is something that you can never, ever get back. And so, we also just found out that one of our friends also has a brain lesion. So it makes you see how precious life really is. So don't let that pass you by. And on the weekends, I really like to make time for my family, because that's the whole reason why I got into this, was to be able to be present for my family. So you guys really have to figure out what is really your motivating factor in life. What is it? Is it just to be a millionaire? Is it just to be working from wherever you want in the world? For me, it's definitely taking time for friends and family and to be there for them. And I had to step away on Friday. I just had to really just watch, and because my mind wasn't in it. And if your mind isn't in it, then don't force anything. Go ahead and take care of what you need to take care of in life. The market will absolutely always be there. And I want to let you guys know, of course, the Modern Trader Summit is going on in Montreal, June 22nd. Also, let me know what you think of this new setup. So what do you think of the screen right up here? Do you like that better, where you guys can see me bigger and the screen up there? Shoot me little notes in the comments or shoot me an email. And I also spoke with one of the developers of this cool tool, Redbox Global. So if we go here, we sign in, I can show you guys what it is. Really cool stuff. It's kind of like Bloomberg is how they set it up. So they've given me a little demo stuff. There's nothing really going on the global market commodities and stuff. They don't have it running over the weekend. That's something that's going to be setting up, but it's brand new. So definitely check it out during the week. It's very cool to see the stuff happen in real time. So definitely check it out. And then you guys know that I love trade ideas. They have a great sale going on this week. So check out down below for the discount code going through tonight, Sunday, but it might also go until Monday. There we go. See right there, Valentine's Day sale. So let me know. I will shoot you the code. Actually, it's down in the comments. All right, guys. And also, I saw this on Twitter, so we'll go ahead and get into the analysis, right? So this guy, Charlie Bielo, put this up, right? The S&P 500 index is going up, and he says on December 24th, 1% of the stocks in the S&P right here were above their 50-day moving average. So it was extremely bearish, like oversold levels. You can see oversold levels back here, 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 and how it corresponds to the chart. After that, there was an 18% rally over the last 8 weeks, which is pretty incredible. If you look back, actually back here in 2008, 2009, it took 11 weeks for that little bounce right there. So we've done that in 8 weeks, and we've gone 18% of the market, and now 92% of the S&P 500 stocks are above their 50-day moving average. So it's pretty overbought at the moment. So we shall see what is going on. This is, to me, all the talk of everybody having the market crash, everything like that, which there are a lot of economic indicators that it's still going to happen. In fact, the big amount of auto loans that are not being paid for in the US is pretty crazy. So we could have, auto loan lending bubble that's going to happen, not like the home bubble, mortgage bubble, but this is going to be bad debt based on cars and college loans and that sort of stuff. So it's interesting to see how we've had this sort of repercussion and bounce. You had the bounce back here as well, and then it dropped back down to all-time lows again, 50% valuation. So it's pretty interesting. And as always, guys, I'm not a licensed professional. I did used to have my Series 7 back in 2000, but I no longer am current. So let me get rid of these. I love playing with fib levels to see where they're going to take things and where they've taken them in the past and see how it corresponds. So I've got a bunch right here. Let me just get rid of these little ones. So we've got on our daily chart for the S&P 500. I'll get rid of these. Sorry guys, doing a little cleanup of my chart. All right, so we'll go back here. We broke that 200-day moving average, right, which is this light blue line, 274.23, and we surged up. In fact, I had on Thursday, I said, hey, listen guys, you know, on Thursday we really had a day where it was just sort of running between this 50-cent range, and I said, hey, if it breaks above 274.75, I'm bullish, and then if it breaks down below 274, I'm bearish. And you know what? I had a lot of haters on Twitter for that, but really that's what it's about, right? You sit on the sidelines until that move is coming along. Well, sure enough, it bounced. This is the 4 EMA, so it ran up, and it looks like we might have a bit of a retracement trade back. Looks like the 8 EMA has come off. I might have taken it off by mistake. So right down here, it should be right here around 272 area. So it looks like we might have a bit more of a retracement trade before it surges up, or based on the fact that all of, you know, there's so many stocks that are above their 50-day moving average, showing a little bit overbought, might be overextended at the moment. So we shall see. Also on the Russell, same scenario. We have it. It's broken this downward trend line. We broke that downward trend line as well on the SPY right here, this dash downward trend line, and on NASDAQ as well. Same thing. We've broken above, and we're holding above that 200-day moving average here. So this is looking more bullish right now, but it does need to have confirmation, because look, we ran above here and then it pulled back down, tested again, and it pulled back down. So it does really need to test it and then hold above. This is closed right at it, so we might be coming back down. We'll let the market decide, right? Go with the trend and not to fight it. So we go into our potential long list for the week. We have Mixt. You can see this looks like a nice little cup and handle, right? It looks like it broke out from right here, surged up, and it's creating new highs. So we'll pull it back to the 5-year chart. Right? Okay, so we do have another level right here of 1975, and then high of 5 years of 2093. So on our 15-minute chart, it did have a bit of a pullback right at the end of the day, but it surged up and then it pulled back a little bit right into the end. So I would watch for support of 1880 and resistance of 1919. Hold on one second, let me get the float right here. So it does have 14.59 million in the float and 26.94% short float volume on the Friday's volume. Next on our list is XERS. So this is a pharmaceutical company. I do have a support of 955 and resistance of 975. And the reason why I have this on the long list is because it did have this major gap down, right? We had big gap down, 2 candles, and then it gapped down further. And now it looks like it's a bit on the upswing. So I would look for a break of that high of that candle for gap fill up to 1040. So we could easily have a 75-cent run up. And this one did have a public offering though. So we shall see if it does bounce. We could squeeze some shorts there. It was 35.65% short float volume on Friday. It has 12.6 million in the float. So the reason why I like it is the lower float, and that short float volume is lower, but it does have ability to run back up as well. Next on the long list is Rdfn Corporation. Once again, breaking out here. It has it had earnings. Typically we will see 2 to 3 days of upward movement. It did close fairly strong on Friday. On our 15-minute chart, we have 1974 for support, and I would say 2010 right there. It did have this pre-market high on Thursday of 2039, so that might be the next level of resistance. So a nice 30-cent move right there from break of 2009. And when we look back at on the year chart, you can see we do have this gap to fill. The lowest part of the gap I would say would be 21, and then after that up here 22. So it does have a nice potential movement. It was 54.25% short float volume on Friday, and it has 64 million in the float. So I really like that this does have that gap to fill if it can break that resistance right there of the 2040 level would be the top of it up to 21. Nice 60-cent move potentially right there to go ahead and fill up. Next on the long list, IVC. So same scenario. We do have a nice gap that could be filled right here. So this gap right here is at 1046. I have a support potentially to be broken 936 and support to be held of 936, resistance to be broken of 975 to the upside for a nice long move. And then we could go ahead and fill that gap. And what's interesting is we do have that 200-day moving average right here at the bottom of the gap. So right about 1250, if it can break that 1050 area, a nice $2 potential move for it to go ahead and capitalize on. And if you want to see it on the 15-minute chart, you can see it did end up strong on the day on Friday. Next on the long list is DBD, Diebold. And again, we had a nice upward trend all day, sold off a little bit at the end of the day. And I would look for the support of $8 to hold and resistance of $8.26 to break. On the year chart, once again, we do have this nice gap to be filled. So the bottom of the gap, I would say 1060. So we've got a nice $2 move. Once we break the 825, 830 range up to 1060, so a nice $2.30 potential move to be capitalized. We are above the 200-day moving average, so that is nice as well. On to the potential short list. Oh, and I did meant to tell you it has 71.4 million in the float and 24.9% short float volume. On the short list, we have CPS. So this one did have a big gap down on Friday. It looks like it would have support to be broken of 62.69 right here and resistance of 64.76 to go ahead and continue up. But we have massive volume, massive red day, and it closed fairly low. It didn't close right at the low of the day, so would watch for that to continue down. It has 17.4 million in the float, and on the yearly chart, you can see we're pretty much almost at all-time lows. All-time lows are 57.62, so we would have some more movement down. I would say next test would be $60, $60.50, and then down to that 58 range. All right, next one on the short list, we have ANDE. This one has 26.68 million. The reason why I have this on the short list is it had earnings gapped up, but it could not hold that, and it did look to fill that gap to the downside. And we have a gap here from it going down here down to 35, and again, this is filling that gap. So the bottom of the gap right here would be 36.26 down to 35.30. So nice dollar potential move down there. So looking for support broken of 36.26 and 36.66 for resistance. Next one on the short list, CYBR. So this one had a nice gap up again on Thursday, but it looks like it might be testing it to come back down. So you can see it opened right here at 177, and then it gapped up. Probably it had a large number of short float from the day prior, so they probably got squeezed. And it does have 28.4 million, and it is somewhat lower of the low float side. On the float side. So I would look for this potentially to break 150 or 100 level and then come back down to potentially test the low of that day or the 4 exponential moving average of 96.87. If it does break that, I think there will likely be a big gap down, $8 down to that 90 range or even 91. So just put this one on watch and see where the market and the momentum is going to take it. And MIME, M-I-M-E, another one with potential gap down. So we had the 3 days up off of earnings, and now it's starting to come back down. It did close right at that 4 EMA, so it might bounce off of that level, or it could continue down. So I have support of 47.58, and I would look for the next support of 47.25 to be broken, and then potential gap fill down here, 42.84 on the way down. All right, this one does have 38.8 million in the float. And next one we had, this I had on my short list on Friday. So if you do get my daily list, you were able to capitalize this if you like to short. I would say a support of 17.11 to be broken to the downside. This does have pretty big downward momentum, closed at the bottom of the day. It is in a gap right here to the bottom to be filled down to 16.50. So we might actually see it test that pre-market on Monday. So 17.11 and then 17.53 for resistance. If you look at it on the 15-minute chart, you can see that it basically had downward movement all day until about 1 o'clock, and then it sort of found its bottom, ran up a little bit, and then it came back down to test it. So we'll see what happens in the pre-market. You know, this one did drop down 20%. Many times when we see a stock drop more than 20% or 20% off of the top, we will start to see the bigger guys selling. So we might have secondary day of selling going on Tuesday. And for a potential long swing, we have CTL. Now CTL, I would say, you know, put the support to be broke, or resistance to be broken, 1391, and I would put a support around right here, 1338. The reason why I like this one is it did have this downward trend, right? And it had red earnings and it bounced right off of earnings. So if it can hold and it can continue on up, it might go ahead and be able to run up and close this gap up here to 1450 area. Or even better, try to hit that 50-day moving average. So we shall see. Once again, as always, guys, trade with proper risk management. There are no guarantees in any sort of trading investment. And Card by Profit sees those profits one trade at a time. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. Have a great day.